For this course on secular Dharma, a practice of care and awakening for our time, we want to look at what does it mean, secular?
Well, that's probably the first question, right? One meaning of secular is of this time, of this saeculum.
How can the Buddha Dharma really help us to awaken in this world at this time? And what does it mean in terms of how we live in this world and how we contribute to it? Is there anything specific about us in this saeculum or not?
I mean, in fact, it's interesting that Buddhism has already gone through very different saeculums, very different historical periods, very different cultures, starting in India, but then going to other places in South and Southeast Asia, and in Tibet and in East Asia. And in each of these places and cultures and times, it has adapted, it has changed.
Often I feel this development where in order to respond to the milieu in which Buddhism found itself. Like in China, Buddhism brought something to China and influenced it. And at the same time, it was changed by China. There is not such a disconnection, because often different traditions are presented as very different. This is my lane, this is your lane. By studying the text, I am struck by actually the continuity. Like in the Song tradition, I find a story I thought was really just part of the Song tradition. And then suddenly I find it in the Pali text. And so in a way, you have certain timelessness which apply to all epoch because it deals with suffering and care. And other time, things which really belong to the epoch and in a way could not be applied or brought in this way at this time. And so I find in a way we are kind of this crossroad of the timeless and the time-bound.
Yeah, I mean, the question of the timeless and the time-bound is very appropriate, I feel, to the other connotation of the word secular, which is of this world, as opposed to another kind of transcendent world. As we know, Buddhism teaches us that our experience and our world is constantly changing, it's unpredictable, uncertain, unstable, it's vulnerable in some way, it's dukkha, it's conditioned, and many religions, a word that's often in contrast to secular, posit some kind of existence or reality that is not these characteristics. It's not changing, it's not imperfect, it's not vulnerable, it's not conditioned. May it be God, may it be nirvana. I find it interesting to think of how our understanding of this, such as the teaching on the three characteristics, can impact our practice and what our aim is.
I think there are different strands in the Buddha Dharma. If you read certain text and certain commentary, you have really this strong impression we have to get out of this difficult, painful world. Or you have, in a way, another trend. Life is here and now. How do we practice ethics nowadays? How do we practice meditation nowadays? How do we cultivate wisdom nowadays? Is it different? Is it the same? For example, do we have to go on silent retreat to be awakened? Maybe yes, maybe not.
Yeah, awakening is important, isn't it? There was actually a change in my understanding and my practice as well when I stopped thinking of awakening or nirvana as freedom from suffering, and I started thinking about it in terms of freedom from harming, from how we cause suffering for ourselves and suffering for others. So do we aim to eradicate all suffering, some of which is inherent in being alive? Do we aim to erase, overcome, dissolve some of that suffering? And which one?
Yes, so in a way, what we want to do in these courses is we will have some presentation, we will have some practice, we will have some discussion. And so we really want everybody in a way to participate. How do they view the Buddha Dharma in this saeculum? And of course, we will bring certain idea, but we also want to hear from the participant.
I think it would be really interesting to have a lively debate in the workshops, and not just we say what our opinions are, but we really engage the participants in asking these questions and then seeing how the different understandings they might have of what sometimes looks as theoretical actually make a difference in the way they practice every day in their lives.
We have to see it's not kind of like this is secular Dharma and this is not.
Yes, I feel this is really important. Otherwise, secular Dharma can just become another dogma, another static thing that defies change and the continuous reflection on what this practice is about.
If we're practicing the Buddha Dharma right now, we're actually cultivating secular Dharma.
So Martine and I are very excited about these workshops, and we hope that you join us.